Hey everyone, so by now, some of you are probably wondering why there's no segment up on the channel today and, why you haven't received the full episode if you're a Patreon patron or if you're an iTunes subscriber. And that is because, unfortunately, I did have to cancel this week's episode. I just had a little bit too much going on, some family emergencies, just a generally chaotic schedule lately because, some of you know I'm getting married in a couple of weeks. So we've got that, that I'm dealing with, but also just unforeseen things. The universe is throwing everything it has at me. And so, filming the episode itself and editing the episode is easy. That's the fun part. But really planning the episode is where it comes together. And I just couldn't sit down for an adequate amount of time and create a show. I couldn't, researching for this show takes forever. It literally takes days. I rack my brains out trying to figure out what clips I want to implement, what articles I want to cover, and I take, 60 to 80 different articles and I narrow it down to about 12 different stories. It's just, it's a lot. So I didn't have time to do that this week. So unfortunately, I had to cancel the show. I will be back next week. But with that being said, even though there's no Humanist Report show, there's no shortage of political news to talk about. And there's a lot of stuff that I actually missed that I still want you guys to know about and kind of know my take about. So over the course of the weekend, I will be releasing several vlog type videos where I just talk about specific articles. I will put out a video later today on Charlottesville because that's been something that's really been on my mind. I'll talk about it then because it's going to be a relatively long video. Unfortunately, it probably will be a little bit more disorganized, and I'll just kind of throw my thoughts out on you, as jumbled as they may be, just so that way you know where I stand, because I certainly want to speak out because I think this is a really important issue. But generally speaking, I want to go over some of the topics that I missed this week. So first of all, right before I went and began filming last week's episode, I learned about an article released by The Nation about a report that kind of raises questions about this whole Russia DNC hacking narrative. And I think it's really important. I didn't have a chance to read it before last episode, but I wanted to make sure I gave it justice because it's actually pretty long and, arguably convoluted, not necessarily because the author did a bad job. I think that the author, Patrick Lawrence, did a fantastic job. It's just that there's a lot. So I'm actually going to link you to a Jimmy Dore video. So he took almost 19 minutes breaking down this article, and I think he just did a fantastic job. So it's called Proof That Russia Hacked DNC Server is Bullshit, posted by The Nation magazine. So I do want you guys to take a look at that particular video. I will link that down below. Another video that I think is really important, a topic that I missed by not filming this week, is that Kim Jong-un basically backed away from war with Donald Trump. He's the one that chose to de-escalate. Kyle Kulinski did a fantastic job really explaining this and breaking down the situation, and I think that you have to watch this video. Now, getting to Charlottesville, I will talk about that separately. I'll kind of share my take on it. But there are some videos I want you guys to watch. One is a Vice documentary. It's not very long. It's only 22 minutes, but the Vice reporter here does a fantastic job at just showing the events that unfolded. She goes to both sides. She follows the neo-Nazis and KKK sympathizers and white supremacists. Actually, we don't have to call them KKK sympathizers. They're KKK wannabes, right? They had the torches and whatnot. So, this really shows, they're here, it's frozen on this scene here where they're chanting blood and soil. So if you had any doubt that these were in fact neo-Nazis, watch this documentary and it will put your mind at ease. Another video I want to share is from Secular Talk, where he shares a good portion of Donald Trump's just batshit fucking insane press conference, and he breaks it down in a phenomenal way. So he said everything that was on my heart. Kyle did a great job as usual. So another video that I'll link in the description box. David Doel brings up another sub-issue that has emerged because there's neo-Nazis who have been identified at these rallies. They're being fired from their jobs. And I think that David Doel makes a good counter-argument because Michael Tracy said he feels a little bit uneasy about employers firing people for political speech. But, you know, if you've been following me on Twitter, you know where I stand. I mean, freedom of speech goes both ways. Yes, they do have the right to show up at this KKK rally, but your employer does have the right to fire you. I mean, so I agree with David Doel here, and I do think that he does a good job at presenting Michael Tracy's argument and also kind of breaking it down on why Michael Tracy in this instance is wrong. And no disrespect to Michael Tracy. I think generally he does a great job at reporting things, and for the most part I agree with him, but on here I do disagree, and I think David Doel kind of does a good job at expressing what I think. Now, additionally, Let the Madness Begin is a YouTube channel that's back, and they have a great video mocking Christopher Cantwell, which is one of the prominent Nazis that was featured in the Vice documentary. And basically, he was crying like a baby. You know, there's a warrant out for his arrest, and he's just so terrified that, you know, the cops are going to shoot him because he's armed and whatnot. Now, mind you, this is someone who thinks that Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization, when literally it's just a group of protesters, Black Lives Matter, that are begging the police not to kill them, to treat them like citizens, and to stop, you know, state-sanctioned violence. So when they are worried about police violence, they're terrorists. But when Christopher Cantwell worries about it, you know, this is legitimate. You know, he's afraid for his life. So I think it's just so great. They did a really great job at shitting on him. So I'll link to this video. And also, I'm just, you know, I'm ecstatic that Let the Madness Begin is back. And the last video I'll link to is a Benjamin Dixon video where he talks about not all violence being comparable. Because you hear this argument about both sides, you know, oh, the Antifa was there and the left is, you know, the left is violent, they're equally culpable. No. So I'm someone who often condemns violence. I speak out against it, but you do have to be nuanced when having a discussion about political violence. Not all violence is comparable. If you are protecting oppressed groups from Nazis, that's different than harming oppressed groups, right? And killing them with your fucking car. So I think that Benjamin Dixon makes a very nuanced argument here about violence, and it's a must-watch. So yeah, that's the stories that I hope that you guys will check out. That's the videos I hope you watch anyways. And again, I'll be releasing, you know, some videos over the course of the weekend. Just, you know, sharing my thoughts on certain aspects of Charlottesville and other stories. But, you know, I just wanted to touch bases with you guys to let you know that I'm okay. You know, YouTube didn't shut me down. I know some of you are worried. That's not the case. It's just, you know, I wasn't able to film this week. Next week, hopefully you'll see a segment from me on Wednesday evening or Thursday morning, hopefully earlier. But it totally depends because, you know, as I've stated, my schedule currently is just absolutely insane. So I am doing what I can. So thank you all so much for watching. Take care.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.